Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Starladder America Qualifier coverage here, presented by Beyond the Summit. Zyori with me once again is Merlini. We've got round 3 of the losers bracket today. Elimination on the line. What's the good word, my friend?
We're down to 3 teams left in the tournament. One team has already passed through, so this is the second to last match, I believe, and this one is really, really important. Loser will not have a chance to qualify anymore.
Absolutely right. The winner will be going on to face Osiris, the losers from yesterday in the winner's bracket, and then those two will be facing off tomorrow for that second seat into the actual America portion of Starladder Season 9. So you're absolutely right, my friend. It's all on the line today. Before we hop into this draft, we talked about our predictions a little bit yesterday, but you care to reiterate? I believe you were a Dignitas fan and I was the WWD fan, right?
No. I think WWD is like a slight favorite in this.
Okay,
but
so we're on the same page.
Dota 2 Lounge begs to differ, though.
Okay.
The odds there, I think it was like 60-40? Yeah, 57-43 in favor of Wild Witch Doctors. Oh,
so
okay.
Flip-flopped a little bit. Dignitas was in the lead yesterday, I think, though.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah, I'd say that's close.
It's
close-ish.
very close.
But let's hop into the draft here and we'll take a look. Now, this is a best of one, and I know a lot of people were flipping their biscuits because...
Oh, it's a best of one?
No, it's a best of 3. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I meant to say best of 3. This is game 1. But people were flipping their biscuits because we started an hour late. This is game 1 that we're coming into. You didn't miss anything. I know people have been freaking out. What's the score? Why was the schedule wrong? And the teams just had to do a simple reschedule. There's really no drama behind it. But, alas, here we are. Wild Witch Doctors start off with the dreaded Mirana-Bane duo, and a Venomancer Lone Druid set of picks for Dignotoss to get things started. Very interesting.
I think they picked Mirana like every single game.
Yeah, we talked about that last time, and I think that's true. There may have been one case where she was banned out, but any opportunity they've had, they have first or second pick that Mirana.
They really like that hero. Bane is somewhat unusual, but it does make safe laning versus a Lone Druid very easy because he can't actually creep pull. You just sleep the bear, and there you go. Venomancer is a hero that we haven't really seen too much in this tournament, but I do think it fits into Dignotoss' playstyle. They do like to push early, and Venomancer and Lone Druid, very, very good first 2 picks. They're flexible picks, and they're good at pushing.
Now, the interesting third pick from Dignotoss, the Tusk. Talk to us about this hero, Merlini. We don't see him too much. He's pretty cool, that's for sure, but is he good?
If you are good at playing him, he can be good.
Okay.
So it's a lot of ifs.
Yeah.
If you are good, he can possibly be good.
All right. The only place I've seen Tusk is Koikva likes to play him in the off lane. That's what I think of when I see Tusk.
Galota played him in tri lane before. I've seen him play solo mid too.
So where does he thrive best?
It depends on the opponent's lineup. I think he can roam very effectively and get a lot of kills. He's actually a very effective level 1 roamer because Frost Shards last full duration at level 1. And once he gets level 2, Snowball plus Frost Shards is pretty devastating in a solo lane. He isn't that great at killing like a Mirana. I think he'd be pretty good as a support in a tri lane in this situation. It depends on who their carry is. If it's like someone pretty squishy, they're going to need to babysit. I think he usually thrives in a more roaming position, though. So either off lane or support. Solo mid, he scales like decently with items, but not like amazingly well, and he doesn't have that good lane control in mid, and I don't think he's that good of a carry too. He's not the fastest at farming, and he has fighting abilities, not farming abilities.
Right, and one of his abilities that is often underlooked or overlooked, I guess is the right word, the Frozen Sigil.
That thing's owned.
60% attack slow at level 4. That's insane. I mean, 25% movement slow is good, but that attack slow, that's huge in team fights.
Yeah, if you think Pugna Ward isn't balanced, that thing is so good because you can move it firstly. Secondly, it takes 4 hits. I think Pugna's takes 3. And it slows their move speed, so you can't even catch it.
Yeah.
And so it's also really good for Roshan, too. And Dignotoss is dire, so they have a very potent, very early Roshan lineup. But, I mean, while Witch Doctors, Mirana, Bane, Venge, or Mirana, Bane, Visage, you can't really go wrong with those 3 early picks.
Yeah, a very well-rounded draft, and they've got their tri-lane set up, some flex picks there as well. But presumably, they've been running the position 1 Mirana mostly, like tri-lane Mirana.
Almost exclusively.
Almost exclusively. And with a Bane, that kind of makes sense. Visage works well in that scenario as well. So Wild Witch Doctors will probably be looking for an off-laner as well as their solo mid, and they still have a lot of options on the table. And just glancing at the bans, it looks pretty straightforward. Invoker and Ember Spirit are probably the 2 most common bans I think we've seen throughout this tournament. For a good reason. Both of them are very strong, and, well, they can be a little tricky to deal with as well. Very curious what Dignitas are going to grab here, and it's going to be a Storm Spirit, so still a lot of flexibility here. Probably Storm mid. I don't know. I mean, Lone Druid could off lane. Lone Druid could even go mid. Storm could play that position 1 in a tri-lane scenario. They have a lot of options here with these heroes.
Yeah, I think Bane is going to be the big target for Dignitas here. If you look at Wild Witch Doctors, they don't really have any good counter initiate. Like, if they snowball in on Bane or just zip him with the Storm Spirit, they don't really have any way to save him. So, and Bane gives a lot of team fight potential for them with the sleep, with the enfeeble on the bear, with the grip too. So I think Bane's gonna have his work cut out for him unless they have a good control in the mid, such as a Puck. I know Sna especially likes playing the Puck, and Dignotoss has actually banned the Nyx, in which he has been playing a fair amount as of late.
Yeah, so far they have a fair amount of crowd controls to try and deal with Storm Spirit, but yeah, I think a Puck wouldn't be a bad choice here, actually. It's sort of a wash against Storm in the early
It's never
lane
like,
phase.
oh man, we have too many disables for Storm
Yeah,
Spirit.
that's true.
What a shame.
That's very true. So both teams are taking their time here with these last couple picks. And still,
Timber has kind of fallen off too.
Yeah, I was looking at that game that we casted yesterday, the last one with that offlane Mirana, when we were both thinking Timbersaw would have worked well against the carry Tiny, and I contend that Timbersaw would have been a good pick there.
Maybe that their mid couldn't play it at OS. Maybe he just can't play Timbersaw. Some players can't play Timbersaw.
And now we see what Wild Witch Doctors were thinking about. They go with the Faceless Void.
Well, there's their disable.
Yeah, that's true. That's about the cream of the crop in terms of disable. Now I'm curious how they're going to set this up in terms of lanes.
I'm not sure. Faceless Void is usually a last pick, firstly.
Yeah.
So, especially when you have last pick. So, not only did they pick it fourth, they picked the fourth when they had last pick. So, that's a little bit unusual. And I don't know what they're going to throw into it last. They still probably need their solo mid. Sna is probably going to be playing that. And I don't know. I'm not sure what he's going to go for here. Shadow Fiend has been banned out. Nyx has been banned out. Puck is still in the pool. And, I mean, that seems like the safe choice for them. They don't really need that much more late game when you have a Faceless Void.
That's very true. The problem with Puck, or some sort of a mid-hero that can do damage inside the Void ult, and I guess Puck is okay with that. You can shoot the orb out. Waning Rift is not really so useful.
It's good setup so you can actually get a good chrono
that's
off,
true.
though.
You can use the Dream Coil to start things and then let Void hop in.
He's also a good space creator, too, because Faceless Void needs farm. If he doesn't get, like, Tread's Mask of Madness or Tread's Midas or Tread's Battle Fury, like, by 15-20 minutes, he's not very useful. And he is very poor at catch-up farming, so he just needs a lot of space, and aggression is the name of the game.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, an interesting choice, though. This is actually my first time ever casting Faceless Void.
Are you excited?
I am very excited.
His ulti got buffed a very large round, and the time walk from 120 to 90 minute is a very significant buff.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, that is a pretty. Oh, I don't want to watch it happen. But whoa. It's a Faceless Void sound effect. Whoa! Huskar will be the final choice for Dignotoss.
Yeah, I don't like Huskar here.
Who's this? I guess that means Tusk is going to be a support, right? They have a really interesting mix of heroes.
Yeah, Tusk support, Lone Druid off, Huskar safe.
I think Timbersaw would be an amazing last pick here. Look at all that
Timbersaw
strength.
would be really good, yeah. Well,
and they could use an offlaner as well. They could put Mirana mid. They could tri-lane with the Void. And then Timbersaw could go off lane. Or they could put Timbersaw mid, put Mirana in the off lane.
They have a lot of ways to deal with a low HP Huskar. They have Chrono. They have right click from Visage Familiars. They have Grip. They have Brain Sap, which is pure damage. And that's excluding their last pick, too. So Huskar is decent, but he also doesn't have any support for him. Like, no one to buff him, no one to heal him, no one to make sure he doesn't die.
Because he usually pairs best with some sort of sustain. I mean, the Dazzle Huskar combo is a classic because of the shallow grave, but
Abaddon is good.
Yeah, Abaddon. Anyone that can help keep him alive when he's low health so he can really rack up the DPS.
Magnus.
An interesting pick, and yeah, Magnus will be the last choice for Wild Witch
Magnus
Doctors.
has a tough time versus Storm Spirits, versus good Storm Spirits.
Right.
So I'm surprised that they went for Magnus. I think they already have enough teamfight control with the Faceless Void, considering Dignotoss' teamfight is relatively weak. Veno, Lone Druid, Tusk, not your best teamfight heroes. Neither is Huskar. So I guess they're just going for the all-out teamfight.
Yeah.
I would have liked the Timbersaw pick, too.
An interesting draft on both sides of the coin, though. I would not have seen these picks coming, I don't think. It will be Sna on the Magnus, so he'll be headed mid. It looks like it will be a tri-lane with the Mirana, WWD.
They've already smoked.
Yeah,
Jeez.
on the Bane, XCOM on the Visage, and Ush on the Mirana, and that means IX Mike on a solo safe lane Void. Very interesting.
People say the Huskar is like the worst hero in Dota. I don't think he's that bad anymore.
You know, we had a very heated discussion the other night over dinner about who the worst hero in Dota is, and Huskar's name got tossed around a little bit, though he didn't
I
take
think
the popular
Spirit
vote.
Breaker is #1 worst
Said
hero.
Spirit Breaker. We said Bloodseeker probably.
I think
was
Bloodseeker's
top,
at least better than
high on the chart.
Bloodseeker's
high on the
alright.
chart of bad heroes. I mean,
he works well versus a lot of the common heroes. Like he works pretty well versus Puck. He does pretty well versus like Weaver. He does well versus I don't know.
he has
he's
a
not
silence.
terrible.
He has a silence. So how bad can you be, right?
Yeah. And he has HP removal. His Rupture is ownage.
That's true.
And he has Thirst. I mean, Spirit Breaker. He is just like he is poopy.
He is poopy.
He is poopy. I'm trying to think of what other hero would take the cake.
There were a few others, not forgetting. We tossed around Skywrath Mage a little bit, but
Skywrath Method is good, dude. I like that hero.
Niche lineups. Yeah, but where does he fit in? This was in the context of competitive as well.
Dude, he owns a lot of solo mids, man. He
yeah,
owns
that's exactly
Magnus,
what LD said.
He owns Puck. He like just craps on a lot of these heroes. He's pretty good versus Storm too.
Yeah. But it was an interesting conversation, and the moral of the story here in context of this pardon me, this game is that Huskar's name was tossed around, and I think I said the other day when we were talking about Morphling that he was on Huskar level.
You came to below Huskar.
Yeah, you came to Huskar's defense on that one.
He's not that bad. He is, but I don't think he's gonna do well in this lineup because you can't draft like for him. You can't really draft for Morphling because he doesn't really synergize well with anything. But Huskar, he synergized well with heroes that help him survive, like even a Wraith King for some HP lifesteal, even a Omni Knight for some repel and some heal and some GA. Looks like XCOM already took a Frost Shards.
But an arrow did connect on the backside of the Venomancer. Double damage on Ush. They may be able to secure the first blood, and they do. Derp Derp will be the target to fall. The Nightmare comes out. They'll do a little bit of the jumping back and forth. Bane will actually take it off of the Veno. And Marana has another arrow available. Oh, the creeps come in just in the nick of time.
That was just huge aggression by Derp Derp.
Yeah, they still got what they came for, though. And that double damage rune secures the first blood.
Yeah, and that is not the hero that you want to give a first blood to.
Yeah.
Marana. Well,
the position 1 Marana at that.
Yep, she has Ring of Passy, and she has boots now. So that is... that's pretty rough to deal with 1 minute into the game.
Yeah.
And maybe if they had set up wards behind, they would have been okay, but they didn't see the DD pot them.
And especially with this tri-lane on the side of DNT, it's kind of an awkward tri-lane. It's very snowball intensive. It's very aggressive in nature, and the fact that they're already on the back foot, I think, does not bode well for them, because once they start to fall behind here, they don't have much sustain. And just the aggressive setup from the Nightmare into an arrow, they're just not well equipped to deal with it.
On the flip side, though, their mid lane is going very well, 8-2 on the Storm Spirit, and bottom lane is going very well too. Void only has 3 last hits, and he's not even level 5 yet. Once he's level 5, that Void is going to be in for a very difficult time. He needs a Pro Man Shield. Oh, he just picked it up. Yeah. That item is very important in this particular one-on-one matchup.
Yeah, so is this a problem with the Void struggling against a lone Druid? I mean, should the Witch Doctors be considering a lane swap here and maybe getting Void up in the
I think they just need to pull him a little bit. Like, how much should they pull him? I don't know. Oh, he has
8 tangos.
He has 7 tangos, but he bought all those himself. I think he's going to be okay. He also went a very defensive build with backtrack already at level 2 instead of even getting time walk. Oh, actually, he has level 2 at time lock. Yeah, it's not that bad. Void has a lot of base damage, so he won't be lacking in that department. He has 72 damage with a Poor Man Shield.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's ridiculous. So he won't be that bad in terms of CS. I just worry about the harass. But for some reason, the Bear's almost dead already.
Yeah, Void's actually doing some quick work on this Bear, and that will force out the resummon pretty early on. So oh no, pardon me, not a resummon. The Bear just stepped back. So IX Mike off to a rough start, but he's doing okay. He's at least getting a baseline of farm, 7-2 versus the now 14-6 Lone Druid. At the very least, DNT will have a pretty farmed Lone Druid. Up top, they did just throw an arrow barely off the mark, but now XCOM's in big trouble. Ice Shards come out, Venomous Gale, there's the snowball rolling down the hill, and XCOM will fall to the wrath of Tusk in the front lines. Derp Derp gets a little bit of vengeance here, and they'll continue to press forward, though. They need to be maybe a bit careful. The supports will back up. Huskar throws a couple of those burning spears in, and we'll head back to lane and start farming up. So that will tie it up 1-1. The DNT tri-lane with a sign of life here, but Tusk gets Nightmare, arrow to the face, and he will fall. Now XCOM the one getting some vengeance. Burning arrows stacking up on the Marana, but now Huskar in big trouble. A few more auto attacks. He will survive. There's the salve.
Why didn't he leap? I thought he was just going to leap and get the kill, but he did not. I don't know whether he was scared about leaping into low HP Tusk, but he is very low level. He's level 3 right now, so...
Yeah.
he can't turn around and just like kill you like we see a lot of low HP Huskars do.
Yeah.
Not yet.
I guess Ush just playing it safe. They secured 1 kill, and they figure, well, let's just walk away with our spoils and not throw away the little lead we just picked up.
Radiant's middle tower
It's really important for them to keep Huskar down, though, because he doesn't have any synergistic skills with his teammates. If he doesn't have the farm to compensate for that, then, oh, there's an arrow that hits derp derp.
And Derp taking some damage here. Will they have enough to finish him off? The snowball comes forward. Now WWD himself in some trouble. He will turn and finish off Tusk before he falls. No brain sap, so he has no choice but to stand his ground. Huskar dangerously low. He does make it back to the tower. Now they switch targets onto the Venomancer. Huskar now rejoining the battle. Pot him. This time a leap forward, but he will retreat straight away. Ush does have an arrow available, but does not throw it towards the Huskar. Ush is playing surprisingly passive here in these kind of situations.
He is playing safe.
Yeah, maybe a little too safe, I'd venture to say.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that he could kill him with the previous engagement.
Even right there, at least just throw that arrow. If it hits Huskar, it's a kill. It's worth the gamble of mana, I think.
I think he could have just right-clicked him twice after the leap, too. You get that little bit of move speed.
That probably would have sufficed.
He has boots.
Yeah,
Huskar
now he's got
boots.
the phase boots. That will help.
Huskar already has earned, too. He's gotten both of the kills in lane. I see a skewer in mid, but he will just jump right out. He left the lane. He got an invisibility rune on bottom, was looking for a kill on Lone Druid, but that Observer Ward spotted him out, and he wasted a lot of time, so now he's about 1 full level behind the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, wow, that is a little bit rough, and Magnus struggles in this lane. Anyhow, looking at the CS, 27 and 6 on the Storm Spirit, and Magnus, he's actually doing well in farm, 22 and 4.
That's very good in this particular matchup,
yeah,
especially considering he left the lane.
Yeah, so rather impressive. That is... I would label even a win for Wild Witch Doctors. It's a break even, but that is good news for them. Arrow flies up top, but it is off the mark, whizzes by the head of Huskar, and Ush will just go back to farming.
On the bottom lane, IX Mike hasn't been pressured that much. He's just burned through his 8th Tango, and he still has a salvo left. And his CS has almost caught up to Lone Druids, too. So 30 and 9 on the Lone Druid and 25 and 8 for the Faceless Void. And usually Lone Druid demolishes melee. Like, it's not even close.
Up top, the tri-lanes are going at it. There is a first kill on the Venomancer. They turn it around and secure the kill on Huskar. Now Tusk, the target of choice. He will throw out an Ice Shards. Venomancer, or pardon me, Visage actually taking a lot of damage from creeps. And look at that. Ush stutter steps in the tower to make sure it doesn't switch focus to XCOM. And Visage will be able to walk
if Storm
away.
TP right there with that regen rune, he probably could have gotten a triple kill right there.
Like, certainly could have secured a kill on the Visage and the Mirana.
Yeah,
not the Bane as well.
That would have been devastating. He's going to TP now, but I think the opportunity has passed. Mirana has his salve up. Visage already headed back home.
Yep, and now Storm comes in. We did miss a kill down bottom, but we will watch this action transpire up top. Nightmare comes out, and they will make the escape and run away. Now, meanwhile, down bottom, there was a rotation from the Magnus. He burned the RP, and Void was able to secure that kill. Also used his Chrono. I don't know. Did you catch any of that, Merlini?
No, I was watching top. I'm like that Storm Spirit just missed a huge opportunity right there. It was what 6-2 right before then. He could have evened up to like 6-5 right there, and he would have gotten huge. That was like the perfect opportunity for a Storm to counter gank.
But it was good news down bottom for the Radiant side. Void grabbing that kill. He was struggling so much in this lane, and now he's second on the net worth chart. He's surpassed that of the Lone Druid, and IX Mike is in good shape. 1,300 gold in the bank. Still curious to see what build he'll go for. But if he wants to grab a Midas, he can have it reasonably soon, or maybe just straight into a Mask of Madness. Kind of depends on if he wants to go for the super late game or have more of a mid-game focus.
I think he can go for the Mask of Madness at this point. All the other lanes are shaping up pretty well. We might see another engage on top of Sleep about to come out.
And Venomancer, the target of choice. Sacred Arrow connects, and this will be another easy kill. Visage comes in, a Venomous Gale, as the Venomancer keels over, but yeah, of course won't be enough for any sort of a follow-up.
So this is not going as well as Team Dignitas had planned. I think what they wanted to do was own the Void in the tri-lane, but with this Void in the safe lane and not part of the tri-lane and Mirana instead, I think this is a very good decision by Wild Witch Doctors. And we see a little bit of a gauge on top. And
yeah, wow, that Frozen Sigil gives 90 gold. That's a pretty penny that they will grab on Team WWD. Snowball forward, but he's just a little bit too slow. Bane takes an odd path into the tower, trying to draw fire off of his allies. He will fall, throws a Nightmare onto Storm Spirit. And they'll basically just grab a free kill on one of the
There's
Witch
a
Doctor
TP from Mag. They're
supports.
looking for another kill. Chrono is up. There goes a Chrono.
They'll throw it on the Lone Druid. Shockwave from outside, and this should be an easy kill. RP to follow up. They won't even need it. The Skewer's there to finish him off. Another great kill on the Lone Druid. IX Mike continuing his momentum. He's the snowball rolling down the hill. Forget about the Tusk, Merlini.
So Lone Druid, firstly, he should be in bear form. Secondly, he should not have on par CS with the Faceless Void too. So I'm not really sure how he got dominated in lane so hard. Oh, by dominating lane, I mean him breaking even with the Void means that Void
Just smashed him.
right. So
It's all about that poor-man shield.
I mean, Pro Man Shield is really good and the 3 sets of regen, but I mean, it's Lone Druid, man.
He
Lone
also
Druid
picked
versus
up
a
a Quelling
melee.
Blade. He didn't start with that Quelling
Yeah,
Blade.
he did
grabbed
not.
that in lane, so maybe that helped pretty significantly. I mean,
Yeah, but that means you just go all out on the harass.
yeah.
If he's trying to go for CS, I don't know. I'm just very surprised that he is that underfarmed.
Well, Magnus has supported quite a bit after that first kill. Then Lone Druid did start to fall behind, and now with the second kill, I think it's safe to say Void will be able to hold his own in that lane. They just have an attempt on Storm Spirit mid, but the arrow was off the mark. And that's where that kill will settle down. So 9-3, glancing at the gold graph, Wild Witch Doctors ahead by about 4,000 gold, 4,000 experience. They've got a nice lead set up for themselves here at the 10-minute mark, and they can stay aggressive. Mirana, the #1 farmer. Actually, the primary farmers of every lane are topping the net worth charts right now, and that is usually a bad sign for the opposition.
Yeah, this draft was just not that great from Dignitas. I applaud them for trying something new, but their heroes just don't seem that great. Like Huskar in particular just does not seem that great versus the Radiant lineup. They have so much physical damage. They have the pure damage. They have the Chronosphere. They have the RP. They have so many ways to control him, as well as the rest of the team, that he's just not going to be able to thrive. IX Mike narrowly dodges the gank. Stormspear used all his mana. He wasn't even able to pull after the
But
jump.
meanwhile, in the mid lane, Nightmare on the Venomancer, Fiend's Grip on the Tusk. There's the RP. That's an easy kill on the level 4 Tusk, and it will be an easy secondary kill on the Venomancer as he gets skewered out of tower range. Add 2 more to the docket, 11-3 now.
I thought this game was going to be a lot closer.
Yeah, myself included, but the first blood so early on set that tri-lane onto the back foot, and they were the ones that needed to be the aggressor. And yeah, now they've essentially won all 3 of their lanes. Magnus is, against Storm Spirit mid is actually pretty similar to the Void versus Druid down bottom. They were able to break, and the Magnus was able to break even, and that is a huge victory for the side of Magnus. So
Yeah, I agree. And
they've
now
really just won all 3 lanes at this point.
They did. And Huskar's like in recovery mode. He's trying to get some sort of farm. He has treads at this point, but what is a Huskar going to do in this particular lineup? If he jumps in, he's just going to die.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a good question, my friend. That's part of the problem when you don't have any sort of a passive support. No a photic shield, no shadow wave, no any way to keep him alive. He's just so squishy.
This lane would have worked out so well though versus the Faceless Void though. They wouldn't have been able to keep him from farming at all with the Huskar when the Huskar and the Veno just constantly harassing him. Veno is much longer range than the Bane, and Void can't really do anything about it. But as it stands right now, they are in a lot of trouble.
Yep, bottom tier 1 tower will fall. That is the 3rd tower of the match to go down. It is 3-0 in favor of WWD, and they will continue pressing forward here as no one seems to be coming to the defense. IX Mike on the Void went for a Hand of Midas following the power tread so he can get his farm up. Magnus now with a 12-minute blink following Arcane Boots. Yasha will be up soon on the Mirana. Actually, it may be up now via the Courier. Yes, indeed it is. And this will be just a free Tier 2 tower. This shows how far behind DNT truly are. They know they can't defend these towers. And sacrificing a Tier 2, albeit in the bottom lane at the 12-minute mark, still hurts. And here's a smoke from WWD.
This is scary. This is Faceless Void is also one of the those heroes. If you lose an early game, you're going to lose a late game versus Void. Same with like Phantom Lancer. I forgot Spectre too. Yeah, if you lose the early game versus these heroes, there's like very, very little chance of them winning the middle late.
Yeah. Storm Spirit in some trouble in the mid lane, perhaps. Mirana will reveal the smoke. They can't get the Nightmare. Now they switch focus onto the Venomancer. There is a Radiant Ward here on the high ground. They know exactly where he is. Mirana gets the kill with one last auto attack. Magnus does the bulk of the damage there with the Shockwave. But, oh, that Venomancer, he just basically just fell over.
Yep.
There's just a huge level disparity here as well. The 2 supports on the side of DNT, both level 5, Huskar only 6. Meanwhile, the supports on Wild Witch Doctors, Bane sitting level 8, Visage sitting level 7. That alone is a big jump. And Void is the first hero to achieve the level 2 ultimate, now sitting level 11. He will bump into a solo Huskar, who's only level 6. IX Mike will throw the Chrono. I don't know that he has enough damage to solo him down here, but an arrow will connect, and Huskar falls.
is under
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Moonlight Shadow does come out. Frozen Sigils down, as well as a Sentry, so they do have vision, something to deal with the invisibility from Mirana. Unfortunately, they don't have the damage, although they can reveal these heroes.
Just grip that bear at this point.
Yeah.
Because if they run in to kill it, they're all going to get RP'd. But I guess they don't have Chrono either.
Okay, there's the Fiend Script out onto the Storm Spirit. Void hops in. There's the RP. It catches 2. Secures the kill on the Storm Spirit. Venomancer falls. 14 minutes in. GG, well played from Derp Derp.
Wow.
That was a quick game 1.
That was very quick game 1.
Wow.
Dignitas they weren't careful enough in the top lane. Firstly, they didn't scout the rune out. Secondly, they didn't actually scout the lane out. And then they just went aggressive on a Visage that was just sitting there. Is a Visage really going to be out there alone when he sees a tri-lane or he suspects a tri-lane? Probably not. So they just need some better decision making in the early game. And I mean, that start is just terribly difficult to recover from.
Yeah, there's an old saying, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And a solo Visage sitting up there in the tri-lane was definitely too good to be true.
Yeah.
And, it did cost him. So, a very startling game 1. Like you said, they did take some liberties experimenting. Tusk and Huskar on the same team is interesting in and of itself. And unfortunately, it didn't work for him. But it was a best of 3. They have another chance. The pressure's on. They're now 1 game away from elimination. I think they need to draft a little more conventional here going into game 2.
Yeah, the other games that we've seen, they had a safe lane farmer that was uncontested, not an aggressive farmer. They've run Dro a few times. They used Morphling. They used an Ember Spirit too, which is the game that they won. And those are, I don't know, those are just less aggressive than Huskar, and Husk just didn't really fit into their lineup at all too.
Yeah.
So I think they need to work on their draft, and they also need to work on their early game. They can't fall that far behind early game.
Yeah, and even just drafting Tusk when Mirana's already on the field, she's only 1 hero, but if you trap her in the Ice Shards, she can just leap over him.
I mean, Visage, he just grave chilled out of the snowball too, like
Yeah.
that one engage on top. So I mean, it's you really want heroes that can't escape from snowball and Ice Shards.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem with Tusk. Snowball is based on what Tusk's movement speed is. So if he gets slowed before he tries to snowball, the snowball usually can't catch up to the
Or if you
enemy,
can just leap or grave chill away, then you're not going to hit anything, and then you're in a terrible position.
Yeah, so not the best draft, but we will be going into game number 2. I'm Zyori, with me is Merlini. Make sure you give us both a follow on Twitter at ZyoriTV and at MerliniDota. We'll be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 of this best of 3 series coming up next.